Hello, family. Welcome. This is Dr. Kia Pruitt. I hope everybody's doing well. And I pray that you had a very, very restful weekend, a very productive, prosperous, beautiful, joyous weekend. Whoops, my light just went out. Hold on 1 minute. So I am sitting in the library, so the light goes off after a time. It's on a timer. Can everybody hear me? I don't expect this to be a long discussion, but I just wanted to come today and talk about something different from politics and finances. Because I think everything that I've been talking about on my channel actually works together because my platform is about family, wealth, and legacy. Family, wealth, and legacy. So, what I'm interested in talking about is taking care of your posterity, your current family, your spouse, your children, your significant other, and your extended family, but also your future generations. Then that's what I mean about posterity. I'm also interested in talking about wealth because the scripture says that a wise man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. That means when you're wise, you know that your child and your future generations are going to need something to live on. So you will provide for them and make sure that things that you have are intact. And then thirdly, I'm interested in legacy because I want to know what is your long lasting impact that you will have on the world. And when you think about the long lasting impact that you will have on the world, not just on your children, but your communities, your families, social media, if you're on social media, and the world, when you think about that and you know that long lasting impact, then you can work from that place and work backwards. So you think about your legacy. What is the long lasting impact I'm going to leave for my children and my community, future generations, the world? Write it down and then make sure each activity and each thing that you do is in alignment with that mission. So I'm really keen on having a mission and vision statement for your family. But the reason why I'm here today is not necessarily talk about legacy because I've already done that. I've done a podcast on legacy and asked people, what is your legacy? What will you leave for your family? What impact are you going to leave on society? So I've already done a podcast on that, and I put a video out that up on that, and I have several shorts in case you're not interested in the whole video. And I talk about wealth all the time when I talk about the foreign currencies that I've encouraged many people to get, and about silver and gold and how to roll over the savings that you have into uh, precious metals. And I've talked about wealth when I encourage people to uh, use what they have, the house that you have, take what you have, the house, any assets that you have, and protect it. Protect those assets in trust. And that's what you call estate planning. And so we talk about those things, but I don't often talk about the family, the nucleus of that. And the reason why I don't often talk about it as much as it's a passion of mine is because I get some pushback. But I'm going to talk about it today. I'm really, really concerned about our families. As a mother, a former wife, my husband passed, a teacher who taught at the university level and at the elementary, middle school, and high school levels. As a counselor and many other things that I've done, a life coach even, I'm really, really concerned about our families. I'm concerned because I came across some statistics that really troubled me. And again, I'm a teacher, so I see what goes on in the schools, okay? And I have talked to a lot of children throughout my lifetime as a teacher, as a mother, as a foster mom. And what I've noticed is that a lot of our children are struggling, family. They are struggling. And I don't think we don't seem to care that our children in general are struggling. So in the school system, what you see is a lot of children bringing guns in the schools. You see a lot of them having sex in the schools. You have them doing drugs in the schools. You have children ODing in school. These children are literally overdosing and dying in some of the schools. So I've worked in schools throughout many states, and it seems to be an issue across America. I'm only speaking for America. This is where I hail. So when you think about what's going on with the children, one of the things that I've talked to the young girls, and one of the things that I've listened to them say is, they're angry, and they usually don't talk much about what they're angry about. They just cuss you out usually if they're angry, or you see their behaviors, and I can look and see what's going on with them by looking at their behaviors. But I've actually taken the time to talk to the men. The young men usually will sit down and talk to me. The young men will talk to you and tell you a couple of things is going on in many of these communities. A lot of children don't know who their fathers are. That's a problem. That's a problem, that children don't know who their fathers are. And so the way that presents itself is the girls who don't know their fathers or don't have a relationship with their fathers become extremely promiscuous. Okay, I'm going somewhere with this. The boys who don't know their fathers or don't have a relationship with their fathers become very angry and violent, typically speaking. I'm speaking in generalities. And what happens with men have to go through rites of passages to become men. They have to go through things to become men. Men are made, is what they say on the yard. Men are made. So they have to go through certain rituals and rites of passages that usually their fathers take them on, and men in their communities. And what I see a lot of people doing, a lot of women specifically, is not having a relationship with the fathers and then expecting other men in the community to do the job of the father. And that's a problem. That's a problem because it's not all the men in the community's job to take care of our children. That's not their first priority. We all should be helping each other, yes, but it's not their first priority. The first priority of a man is to make himself, and then to be a man to his wife and his children. And then when he has extra energy, he can do that in the community. But what I see a lot of people doing, specifically, I'm a woman, I'm gonna speak to the women, is a lot of us have not been respectful of our wombs, or I don't know if respectful is the word. We haven't been serious about our wombs as we should. We haven't been good stewards. And unfortunately, birth control, abortions, those pills, day after pills, all that has helped and aided in our being loose with our vaginal spaces, our yoni and our womb. So we get loose with it because you are irresponsible with our bodies because we have needs. And I get it. You have needs and those needs need to be fulfilled. But oftentimes we're not serious about who we give our yonis to. And then we have children, and we don't take that time to build a relationship with the father, or keep or maintain the relationship with the fathers. And then we expect somebody else to come in and take over that role as the father. I see it time after time on social media, time after time in the community. Women say, I'm looking for a good man. I just need a man for myself. But no, what you need not only is a good man for yourself, but you're looking for a father figure when that is the role of the father. So when I see children come to me and say they don't even know who their father is, I know you as a woman was not responsible with your yoni or your womb. And then when you try to talk to women about this, being responsible for our womb and our yoni, then we want to ask, what about the men? Well, men grant access to marriage. They ask for your hand in marriage. Women grant access to sex because, except for the cases of rape or sexual assault, you give him permission. I give him permission. So it takes two. But we really need to have this conversation about what we need to do for our women. Okay, why? Because the children are suffering. And in American society today, the family or the nuclear family is made up of a husband, a wife, and children. The woman grants access to sex, the man grants access to relationship. Oftentimes, what happens though is that we're freely giving our bodies, both men and women, to each other without thinking about the repercussions of that. Before you even lay down, you should be thinking about the repercussions. Before you even lay down, you should be thinking about your mission, your purpose, your vision, the legacy that you want to lead. And then ask yourself, is this person conducive to that? But so many people live life haphazardly instead of living life with a plan. Then you get to be 30, 40, 50, 60, and you wonder why we can't find good mates. Well, a lot of us haven't even qualified. What have you been doing with your life all this time? Okay, let me take a step back. It's a little challenging for me because I'm a woman and I talk to women and I see women, I talk to young ladies, and I talk to men. The most pushback I get is from women. If a man talks to me as a life coach and say, what's going on in my family, or why can't I find a good woman? What's going on with me? What's going on with my relationship? The first thing I say is you have to take accountability for this, that, and the. What were you doing with your life? Who did you choose? What do you contribute? You need to get your life in order. You need to go correct A, B, C, and D. And a man, almost 10 times out of 10 will say, you're right. You're right. I need to fix that. You're right. I can't even. But a woman will come up with excuses. What about men? Oh, that's easy for you to say. No, I'll be 56 in October. I've learned a lot through living and through experience. We need to take accountability for our behavior and our actions. Why am I saying this? Because we're making children and not providing for them and not taking care of them. The angry men that I see in schools will say, I don't know my father. That's a problem. Or my mother and father are fighting with each other. I don't have a relationship with my father. And so they're seeking some type of community, and they seek community in gangs. Okay, they're angry. And the teachers, the counselors, the people working in schools, we're taking the brunt of it. These children are literally killing, annihilating each other and doing drugs in middle school, having sex in elementary school. Do we not care? And so people always ask me, why do you say the onus is on the woman? Because society can get no better or grow no higher than the moral compass of its women. That's a known fact. It's a statement for a reason. Society can get no higher than a moral compass or the moral position of its women. And we continue to say, I want to go back to a matriarchal society. Do you really? Because it takes a lot of responsibility to be a woman. You decide which genes will come into the world. That's a great, beautiful, amazing responsibility. You are the portal of life. You are the gateway to life. You stand between, as a woman, heaven and earth. You stand between the other side and what goes on here on earth. You are the portal through which every seed must come. So we have to take responsibility for who we allow to copulate in our bodies. If you have young children and this conversation is a little too much, then please put them away and let's have an adult conversation. Because our women have gotten out of control. We are loose, we're disrespectful, we're mean, we're nasty, we're rude, we're brass. Forget masculine. We act like ravenous beasts, some of us. And some people will call it hyenas. It's out of control. Listen, I have 7 sons and 1 beautiful, amazing daughter. I'm really concerned because as I look out to try to find a wife for my sons, and yes, I feel that's my responsibility as an elder, and most wise elders do, in other cultures they do too, you're hard pressed to find that in the West. You're hard pressed to find a virgin. And when you mention that word, the women get in an uproar, not the men. The women get in an uproar when you speak about virginity. Why is virginity a bad word? Virginity, not having been penetrated by a man. is something that is beautiful. You're preserving your body, your energy, your soul, your spirit for the person that you desire to say I do to and give children to. That's an amazing thing. Virginity is in this time equated with purity, but well, in my time, nowadays they make it a bad word. So it's hard pressed. You're hard pressed to find a virgin, or if not a virgin, okay, how about a chaste woman? At least a woman that's very mindful of who she allows in her yoni space. Your body, your yoni is your sanctuary. It is the portal through which life comes. How is it so hard to teach a woman or impress upon her that your body is sacred? Because when you allow a lot of men to copulate inside of you, and you allow a lot of men to, grope on you and have intimacy with you, you take on those energies and you become all of those energies that you take into your body. And all those males' energies are an imprint on your children. This is why men wanted a virgin. Because not only do they have to deal with the imprint of the man that's on you and all the men we've been through on us, but all of those energies and that semen is imprinted on his child that comes through your yoni space. Whether it's right or wrong is not my discussion. I'm just telling you what happens. And so what we don't realize is that when we're not a good steward over our bodies and our yoni spaces, then a lot of us develop a lot of trauma, a lot of diseases, a lot of issues, a lot of mental and emotional issues, a lot of setbacks. And that's why it's important to do things like yoni steams, yoni eggs, if you're into that, cleansing your yoni space, which I'm talking about the vaginal area. And that's good, because when you relate with a man by sexual intimacy in an intimate way, you emanate, or what comes from your body is something, a bonding hormone called oxytocin. So when we relate with a man in a sexual way as a woman, we become connected to them and we bond with them very tightly. Oxytocin is something you cannot control. Biologically, you bond with every man with whom you have intimacy. Now, men release oxytocin as well, but not as much as we women do when we mate with men. So that means every time we mate with a man, we're bonding with them. It's the same bonding hormone or chemical that you release during sexual intimacy that you release when you're breastfeeding your child. You know how closely bonded we become with our children when we breastfeed? That's the same thing we emit when we're having sexual intercourses with a man. So, speaking about virginity, or at least chastity, at least being very mindful about whom you give your body to, is important. Because what comes from that is not only a bond with the person that you're mating with, but children. And we act like we don't know that the consequence of sex is children. So we're loosely giving our bodies and we're loosely having children. And then we expect everybody else to take care of them, like some other man to come and rescue us. Listen, I've been married and divorced, and guess what? Had to go right back to my children's father, my husband, because that is where my value was. That is who I was married to. That is the father of my children. That is the only man who would truly, truly love his bloodline like no other. So I'm speaking from experience. It's what I chose to do. I'm not telling anybody else what to do. But it's something that's very glorious that comes with having a covering, and a covering from a man that truly loves you and pours into you and your children. And we've gotten away from that. But we talk about wanting to be rich and wanting to be a baller and boss out, floss out. Do you know it's hard to build wealth without having a family? That's a basic. Every other culture knows that. Every other nation knows that, except for America. And specifically Black America, we really need to get it together, or indigenous peoples that look like me. We need to get it together. So I'm really concerned. And why am I concerned? Because of what I see happening to our children. And so, but we become so egocentric. It's about what makes me feel good. I can do whatever I want. It makes me feel good. And hey, If I want to just be loose with my body and have sex with everybody, I could just take the morning after pill. I could just go get an abortion. But the creator is speaking now and saying, no, you can't, because that's not the way it's supposed to be. And so now what happened? The Supreme Court of the United States overturned Roe versus Wade, because Roe versus Wade was introduced for genocidal purposes. And we're so easily persuaded, for lack of trying to be nice, I want to say ignorant, easily persuaded that we think that that was something because women needed reproductive rights. Well, if you're responsible with your yoni and with whom you give your body to, you don't have to be worried about reproductive rights. Okay, as a woman, everybody else knows this. You have certain energies that provide love, nurturing, gentleness, kindness, okay, grace, softness for the whole planet. In matriarchal societies, women decided to do what was in the best interest of children and the planet, because that's how amazing we are. Everybody understands that. And if you decide to have children, most people understand that that's what we're here for, to produce children. So if we are very responsible with our yonis and very responsible with our bodies, you don't need morning after pills and abortion to annihilate your seed and your husband's bloodline or his seed, your posterity. You don't need it. Well, now when the Supreme Court overturned Roe versus Wade, they said now it's up to the states. And then you have women that say, oh, what about in the case of rape? Well, that's less than 1% of the time that it happens, sexual assault, that you become pregnant, then that's something that should be decided with the family. But an overall conversation about the federal government dictating whether or not you should have that abortion should not even be a discussion. And it's egregious. It's disgusting to see Christians stand up for reproductive rights because you're lazy with your yoni and irresponsible with your yoni. And you want to teach your child to be irresponsible with her yoni. And you want to go ahead and parade all these other young women around and make it okay for them to be irresponsible with their yonis. That's what that's really about. It's not about reproductive rights. It's because you want to live vicariously through them to be fast, loose, and do whatever you want to do. The children be damned. But you don't have enough common sense to know that the children is the future. You don't have enough common sense to know that the children will run the society when you're not able to. So I'm going to let the men deal with the men and establish rites of passage programs, and I'm going to deal with the women, because men, see, the thing about men and women is men have time to get it together, and men can make all these mistakes and then be 40 or 50 and still get married and have children. Women, we can make common mistakes and we can still have children if you freeze your eggs. Yes, I get that. But we don't have the same time that they had. This used to be basic knowledge. Why are we acting like we don't know this? But our women have become so programmed by mainstream media that you can act like a man. You can have as many sexual partners as men do. You can do whatever a man does. You can smoke, you can drink, you can party, you can kick it, as if you're not operating on a time limit. Think. A man can go out there and make mistakes, and guess what? He can still survive in the wilderness. He can survive on the street. It'll be rough for him. He can get it together at 50 and still come back and rebound. And that's what women really are mad about when they see a man with a younger woman. They want to call him a predator or a pedophile because they're mad that he has time and we don't. When you're loose with your womb, out partying, kicking, smoking, carousing, going on girls' trips. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but you're operating on a time limit. Then you're going to get 35 and you're going to want to know where all the good men are. But is he going to want to deal with your trauma? Is he going to want to deal with the children that you may have had in or out of marriage? And they're not his bloodline? Think of what is the benefit of a man to come and to take care of you and your children? I'll wait. What's the benefit to him? The benefit to us is that now we have a covering after we've partied, had fun, got divorced, and got these children. Now we got a covering. What is the benefit to him? So I'm tired of hearing women say men don't submit. I used to think that too. Men don't really submit. At the moment a man commits to you, he has submitted. At the moment that a man marries, he has submitted. How has he submitted? He hasn't submitted. Number one, it's not even in his nature to be with one woman. What are you talking about? So to say that I'm going to and commit to one woman, it's not even in his nature to be with one woman. It's against his maleness, his biology. So to commit, that's submitting. If there's a bump in the night, somebody breaks in, he has to put his life on the line. That's submission. If it's not enough food, you and the children eat first. That's submission. But if you bring up submission to women, we think it's slavery. I'm not going to submit. You know why you don't want to submit? Because you haven't had a father in your house, or because you haven't had a male covering before, and you don't understand and understand the purpose of a covering. Somebody being there to provide for you, protect you, provide structure to your chaos. I get it. I don't get this old without becoming wise. Okay. So a man, with the moment he commits to you, he has submitted. That's the greatest submission, to put his life on the line for his woman and his family. But again, I ask you, what is the benefit of a man to come into a situation where a woman already has children? It doesn't benefit him. He'll feed your children. He'll love them. But for that child to stand up and say, you ain't my daddy, and they'll work it out. And I love the concept of extended families, because all of our women need a covering. But what I'm saying is, if a man agrees to that, we need to be grateful, thankful. But it's not, he doesn't get any praise. There's no honor in it for him. Maybe back in the day, then the kids grow up. I've seen it. And say, oh, I was treated differently, or he ain't my real daddy. And of course, sometimes they're treated differently, but I'm just telling you. So if a man comes into our lives and provides a covering and protection for us and our children, we ought to be grateful, and we ought to operate within our role. We have roles in America. The masculine role is to provide and protect. The feminine role is to nurture, to love, to nurture. Okay. But what I see happening is that we're just loosely having sex and having children, not being concerned about our families, our societies, or our legacy. And I'm concerned. I'm concerned. Why am I concerned? Because look at these statistics. If you can see this, fatherless home statistics. Fatherlessness has become a concerning trend, with a significant number of children growing up without an engaged and involved father. Here are the following statistics that shed light on the prevalence and impact of fatherless homes on society. 63% of youth suicides are from fatherless homes. 90% of all homeless and runaway children are from fatherless homes. 85% of all children who show behavior disorders come from fatherless homes. 80% of rapists with anger problems come from fatherless homes. 71% of all high school dropouts come from fatherless homes. If that doesn't hurt you in your heart, I don't know what to say. 75% of all adolescent patients in chemical abuse centers come from fatherless homes. 70% of juveniles in state operated institutions come from fatherless homes. Well, what about the ones that come from two-parent homes? We're not addressing the 30%. We're addressing the 70%. These are things that are within our control. 85% of all youth sitting in prison grew up in a fatherless home. Those statistics are egregious. They're heartbreaking. They hurt, because you know what you're working with? You know what your society is going to look like? Runaway children that can be trafficked. Rapists. Kids who drop out of school have no type of skills and now have to participate in the underground economy, girls selling their bodies in order to make it, boys doing drugs or selling drugs in order to make it and participating in games. That doesn't concern us. A city and society full of dope fiends, because how many of them, 75% of all adolescent patients in chemical abuse centers come from fatherless homes? If you don't have a father that's involved with the children, then you are open to these things happening to you. Excuse me. Does that concern anybody? Am I the only one? Am I the only one that's worried about this? I'm upset. I'm appalled. And so people will ask me, so why do you keep talking to the women? Because you grant access to sex. And so if you desire a partner and a husband, there are certain things you have to do. We have to qualify for that. There are good men. I see good men everywhere I go. I raise good sons. I have 7 of them and 1 amazing daughter. I have raised beautiful, amazing foster sons. I have brothers and brothers-in-law who are responsible, good provider protectors. Where are all these bad men that these women are talking about? You know what? Sometimes the energy you exude is the energy you get back. This was basic when I was growing up. So if you desire a good man, conduct yourself as a lady. Be kind, be sweet, be feminine. And it is not true. I'm tired of these angry women saying that it's true that if you're sweet or you're pleasant, everybody's going to take advantage of you. That's not the case. And if that is the case, then you need to learn how to submit yourself to a covering. You need to go and find your daddy and submit to your daddy so that if any man takes advantage of you, he can nip it in the bud. You need to go and find yourself a priest or a pastor and submit yourself to that covering. Or if you have a bad relationship with your father, you need to go and correct it and get it together, or go get a pastor or go get your brothers and submit to that covering so that if anybody does overstep you and mistreat you because you're kind, swimming in feet and sweet, they'll deal with them. But see, society has gotten in our heads that we don't have to do that. You don't have to have a relationship with your parents or your daddy because we're a cutoff culture. Cut them off. You don't like your mom or your dad trespassed against you, cut them off. Rather than having an emotional intelligence enough and grace and love and kindness enough to work it out and go and forgive and extend grace. And that's how you receive grace. If you desire a man that's a good man, a provider or protector, that's what is a good man? What is his? He's a provider or protector. That's it. But if you have a list full of 1,000 things that you think every man should fulfill, then you're delusional. In order to have a good man, a man, period, but especially the type of man that you need to provide and protect for you, you have to qualify. Having a vagina is not enough. All the women have a vagina. But for him to submit to you and put his life on the line and submit and say, you're the only one I'm going to have sex with for the rest of my life, even though it's against my nature? Are you kidding me? You need to qualify. But what we found is what we knew in old days to be true, women don't understand nowadays. Virginity matters. Chastity matters. Even if you're not a virgin, even if you had children, chastity matters. Being online, talking about effing and sucking and having sex, and you're on all these girl trips and you're having a bunch of men around you and you don't know how to conduct yourself like a lady, is sending a signal to the man's brain that you ain't nothing but somebody to play with. And we all know men are consumers. And again, whether that's right or wrong, that's not my problem. That's for the men to address. I'm talking about us as ladies. The poor life comes through us. The rearing of the children is our responsibility. The men help, but it's our responsibility. The men provides a covering because they provide discipline and structure. They provide control, structure. order to the chaos. You have to qualify. And I don't know why this is so hard for women to understand. This was basic. Even if you're the type of woman that likes sex, you still need to have discretion. Like, this was basic. Basic. Be sweet. Be pleasant. Be feminine. Be soft. Take care of your body. Nowadays, they have this thing called fat shaming. When I was growing up, your mother slapped you in the face if your belly was hanging out. We were told to always stay tight and fit. Always. I can remember being 13 and I was developing. And my mother asked me, have you been having sex? She said, you've been having sex? I said, no, ma'am. Because back in the day, if you were starting to get bosom and a behind, that's the first thing the older women ask you. Why are them hips getting big? No, ma'am, no, ma'am. All right. I don't want to see nothing jiggling. Took me to the doctor. And back then, your mother took you to the doctor to make sure you were a virgin. So when I was with my husband, had never been with another man. My mother made sure of it. Took me to the doctor, had me checked out. She's still intact. She might be a little overweight. I wasn't even overweight, just a little thick. Maybe he said she might have 5 pounds over. My mother said, minerals, put her on this mineral drink, put her on something, get rid of that waste that's in her body. That's how serious they were. Your boobs start sagging, shape them up. We had these little machines where you would do compressions. We must increase our bust. Or if you're not trying to increase because you felt flat chested, because and for us, it was like, what other legacy was there to have other than being a mother? That's how we were raised. Or we must tone our bust. We must. And we would work out as teenagers. We were so concerned about being fit, feminine, and pleasant because we wanted to be a wife to a husband and have children and raise good, responsible children. Now, I'm not telling anybody what to do. I'm telling you that if you want a good man to provide for you and protect for you and not look at you as just a toy, then you have to qualify. That means you need to know what it is men need and desire. And they tell us every day, but we don't listen. We call them predators and pedophiles because they say, I want a chaste woman. I want a woman that's responsible with her yoni. Now, they'll say that in one breath and then have sex with you in another breath, even if you're not a chaste woman. So you will have to be the one that makes that decision. It's not going to be me he's going to play with because I need a husband. I need a covering. I'm trying to build a legacy. I desire to have a family. I desire wealth for my family. I'm going to leave a legacy, long-lasting impression on my posterity, my future generations. Basic knowledge when I was growing up. Nowadays, women want to fight you. You can't even say anything to them without them wanting to fight you because they are irresponsible with their yoni space and they want to make you feel bad about telling them that if they want what they say they want, they need to close their legs and be responsible. Because what's interesting to me is that a lot of us will be loose with our yonis and have children and then expect another man who's at this high level to come in and take care of those children that we had by a man that we call shiftless and lazy and no good and irresponsible. Well, who was you when you laid down on your back to him and submitted to him and not gave him 1, but 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 children, or you did it with several different men? We got to get better. Yeah, I'm judging. Look at the statistics. Yeah, I'm judging. That's my job as an elder. And nobody's going to make me feel guilty for that. And the older I get, the more I'm a judge. So there's something we have to do. Do you know I keep hearing women say, oh, men don't hold doors anymore. Men don't they don't pull out chairs anymore. Men are so mean. I've never walked in a place where a man doesn't open a door for me. I walked in a place this weekend at a meeting. Every man in the room Madam, Miss, Sister is how they address me. Pulling out chairs, opening doors, being kind, trying to feed me, bringing me food, being very cordial. I never have that problem. But you know why? It's the energy I exude. Come from a place of love. Come from a place of kindness. Instead of thinking that people are bad, why not take on the mentality that men are wonderful? People are good by nature. We all have things that we desire to work on, but by nature, people are good. By nature, men provide and protect. Are you worthy of it? And I say that because when I see the way women act out here, I tell my sons, no, she's not worthy of it. You will not give her our last name. You will not put your seed in her and bring the children in my bloodline. You will not. If she's been irresponsible with her yoni, you will not. If she's rude, mean, disrespectful, nasty, and cusses out people, you will not. And if for any reason you decide to do so, you're going to have to deal with the consequences. Now, how I choose to deal with that in my family, of course, is my business. But I stand on business. We have to be more serious, family. Because a woman that's not responsible with her yoni and she will destroy and kill her own seed will not be responsible with your money and your legacy. Trust that. A woman who's rude, mean, nasty, and disrespectful to her mother and her father will cuss you out in public when she feels the need. And this whole discussion about, I'll submit to a man when he learns, if the right man comes along, is a lie. It's a trap. Don't fall for it. How you behave should not be contingent on another person. Because who you are is who you are, and it's going to come out. If a woman will cuss you out and disrespect you, trust me, she doesn't respect herself, and she will not respect your name or your legacy. This is why a lot of men want women that will fit their program, women who are nice, women who are sweet, women who are sometimes younger, women who haven't been through a whole lot. That's why they like virgins and chase women. So instead of fighting them and saying, I'm not going to do that, I'm not going to do that, and then cry because you can't find a good man, why not qualify if you desire a husband? Because let me tell you something, ladies, all of y'all that's listening to these Nico Cherise and all these angry women online that's got a big platform that's telling y'all to hate men, they end up somebody's mistress. They're lying, telling you they don't need men, and they're making money off of you and your emotional needs when they talk about, oh, these men ain't nothing. These men, they need to invest in my business. I'm gonna send them a cash app. They ain't no good. They get horny. Yeah, they do. And some of them ovulate, and they're gonna open their legs to somebody's man. They become mistresses, whores, thoughts, 304s, whatever you wanna call them. Let's just have a real discussion here. Ask the men. If the men were to tell you who the side chick is, it's not just the loose 304s. It's the boss chicks. And all we're doing as women is making it easier for men to just screw you and leave, screw and leave, screw and leave, screw and leave. When you say, I don't need a man. Oh, you mean I can come through, copulate in you, get my rocks off, and don't tell nobody about it and not provide for you or your kids? That's all I gotta do. Good deal for me. And what you don't understand as a woman is that you get the rough end of the stick. You get the worst end of the stick. Dating is not for women. It does not work out for women because you release oxytocin. Remember that. So you're bonding with every man. You can play with me if you want to. You're going to be crying that night. You can act like a thug, Negro, or whatever, but you'll be crying that night. wondering what he's doing, why he's not with you, why he's with this woman, why he chose her, why he left you, why he chose the wife and the main chick over you. Don't play with me. And now you're sitting there looking silly. But more importantly, your children are suffering, watching men run in and out of the house, watching you act egregious, rude, mean, and nasty. It's horrible. Now, we do still have a lot of feminine women around. And for those of us who are still feminine women and know how to behave like ladies and respectful and respect the masculine principle and respect our men, we get treated royally. We're respected. Doors are open for us. Seats are pulled up for us. Bills are paid. You go out, they would be offended if you offered to pay. And if the man knows that he doesn't qualify for you when you're a feminine lady, he will say, I'm sorry, I don't qualify. He will disqualify himself, or he'll go out there and work hard to bust his tail because he sees something in you that he doesn't see in other women. You really want a good man? You really want a man, period? Be feminine, be sweet. But it starts right here. Some of us need to do a paradigm shift. Men are wonderful. Men built the world. Men built structures. Men created the infrastructure. Men do the plumbing, the piping. They fight the wars. Men protect. They're the firemen. They're the policemen. Okay, you have a few women out there that want to be like a man, equal to a man. Hooray for you. 9 times out of 10, call the police when you get in trouble. It's going to be a man for all you ladies saying, I don't need a man. Let your house burn down. Call the fire department. It's going to be a department full of men for all the ladies that say, I don't need a man. Go get a house. Who built the house? So as a boy mom and a girl mom, what I see is that it's hard out here for everybody, but it's just not good for a woman to do the same thing we think men are out here doing. Because when you look at the statistics, a lot of men aren't having sex. It's just a few men that get to have all the pick of the litter of the women, because we so stuck on what looks good and smell good that most women want the same thing in a man. All of these characteristics that don't even exist. He has to be 6 foot tall, has 6 or more inches of penis, and that's the problem when you're out here having a lot of sex. If you only had one partner, you wouldn't even be able to compare them to anybody. That's why virginity was so important. So even though we may have decided to have sexual partners, or we may have had multiple relationships, you should be training your daughter to be a virgin and to be responsible with her body if she wants the best chances in a man, the best chances. You got to be 6 foot tall, 6 inches or more of penis, make 6 figures. Most men in America, most people in America make $42,000 a year. Stop, knock it off. Because if Elgin comes through here, or what's his name, Marquess come through here, 6'5", some of y'all land on your back. If he doesn't have the rest of those characteristics, if he doesn't have the rest of the characteristics. But in order to be married or to have a good man, you're saying he's got to have all these things. And then you don't just stop there with this 3 6s. You got a whole list, pages and pages of qualifications. That's why they left the choosing of the spouses up to the parents and back in the day. Because a lot of times we don't know what we want or need. A man should be vetting a man for the girls and for the women. It should be, because a man knows men. We get caught up on how does he smell good? Does he look good? Does he dress good? Girl, does he walk good? What does he say? How does he talk to me? Men are professionals at saying the right thing to get the cookie, because it's in their nature to conquer. So they're gonna do whatever they can. So, okay. So what am I saying? I'm saying we got to get better, family. We got to get better. We'll continue on this conversation in a minute. I have another meeting, but I want you to look at this here. The median household income, Indo-Americans are at the top. Filipinos, Chinese, Pakistani, are white Americans, Korean, Indonesia. Who's at the bottom? African Americans. Why are we at the bottom? Look at the median incomes. Indian Americans make 100,000, 100, 500. We make them 35,000. Now, some people that come over here, yes, they get benefits. I agree to that. But a lot of us aren't married. And we have no structure, no discipline, no order. We've got to get better. So I'm done. I got to go to another meeting. Somebody else needs this room as well. I love you all. I'll continue this conversation on later. Yes, I'm concerned about our children, and I'm concerned about society at large. And I have to say it starts with the women, because society can get no better than the moral compass of its women. Society grows no faster or evolves no better or no higher than the women. We're the one that raised the children. That's why when the kids act up, you call the mama, because the mama should be telling the kids how to behave and nurturing them so they behave well, and the man enforces that. And it's a lie that Black men are not involved in their children's lives. Look at the statistics. The most involved men in their children's lives, according to some statistics, are African American men. So you want a man to provide for you, protect you, to love you, to marry you, and not just copulate in you? Qualify. Qualify. Watch what you put in your mouth, tighten up your body, get your attitude right, get some counseling, stop having sex with everything, and learn how to be a lady. How about that? How about that? And listen to your parents, because some of y'all out here wilding, okay? And the rest of us that's doing the work, good job, keep it up. Mama Kia loves you. I'll talk to you soon. Peace. Gotta go to another meeting. Bye-bye.